So we're gonna switch over, and I told people 2 weeks ago, no, three, because it was before Mother's Day. I told people before Mother's Day that we had something very, very special related to video games that we wanted to do. And then Mother's Day we took off for obvious reasons. And then last week I didn't want to do it without you here. So today's the day.
Ooh.
Today's the day. I would like to introduce the world because I didn't know this existed. And I'm super excited about this. You said you didn't know this existed. So I was like, this is going to be great for fucking everybody involved. So, I know when people think of me, they don't think of video games too much. Although it was pretty heavy in my life when I was younger. The video game guy on this show is very clearly you. So I was like, this is going to be great because video games has been a large part of your life. But up until just now, when I sent this to you, you had no idea that there was a World Video Game Hall of Fame. How did that hit you when you got these notes and you were like, wait, what is this?
Well, now I want to. Nah, I never heard it like on TV or anything. Nothing.
I've never heard it promoted. I've never heard it spoken of. And yet, when I've done the research, there are literally thousands, possibly millions of people involved with this. And I don't... Maybe, you know what, though? Maybe it's a good thing that it hasn't been so widely talked about. You know, because once Gen Pop gets a hold of something, forget it. Right? So maybe it is kind of a great thing that it really hasn't been that talked about. But the World Video Game Hall of Fame, and unlike the WWE and some other bullshit Hall of Fames you hear about, this one is a legit Hall of Fame. This exists. This is a facility. And that doesn't even house just video games as a Hall of Fame. It also houses toys and various other forms of entertainment. And not only does it talk about it being Hall of Fame worthy, whatever that means in today's age, but they actually have like wings. It's an actual facility. I got the address for you guys. 1 Manhattan Square, Rochester, New York, 14607. You can call them up yourself, 585-263-2700. You can email them at info@museumofplay.org. This is an actual place. It's a facility with some of the greatest video game, toy, everything, just the greatest fucking shit. If you're a fucking gamer or a nerd of any kind,
That's a confusing address.
This is oh, because of the Manhattan thing?
Yeah, I'd be so pissed if I went to Manhattan thinking like that's where it was.
Yeah, but it's not. It's 1 Manhattan. Let me hold on. 1 Manhattan Square. That's the address. It's a big building. It's got a lot of cool shit in it. I did the fucking GPS from my house. It's about 6 hours. But you know what? It might be worth it. I might have to go to this place. And I want to record some shit. I would love to do some more shit about this in the actual physical place. Right. But let me say how this caught my attention. Because like we just said a second ago, you hardly ever hear about it. So how did we hear about it? Well,
how did you hear about this? Because from what I'm reading, how you heard about it, I'm blown away at the fact that I've never heard of this. Because the way you heard of it is the way you hear of these things. So go ahead.
So the way that I heard about it is I woke up one morning to go to work, as most people do, and I got on the commode and used my phone for various games in the what's-its, as most people tend to do. And my Google app alerted me of the 2022 class of the World Video Game Hall of Fame. And I said at, 6:30 in the morning, what the fuck is a World Video Hall of Fame? So I had to hit the button.
I got you, dude.
Most times I ignore these notifications, but this time I had to go forward with it. So it drew my curiosity. I said, what is this? And how do I find out more about it? So I clicked on it. And the first thing that it told, I'm not going to spill it because I want to present it correctly, but it started giving me the class. And I said, Hall of Fame for this, Hall of Fame for that. That's awesome. This is great. I would consider this Hall of Fame. And it's like not even 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm already debating in my head the merits of everything that was going on. I said,
Right.
so this is a true Hall of Fame. I was like, all right, it got me thinking over here. So I was like, all right.
I just want to know if the brave fencer Musashi is in the Hall of Fame.
Ooh.
That's the first game. I don't know why that comes to my head.
So it popped into my head that I definitely wanted to know more about this. So I saved the link, went to work, waited for my lunch break, and I just fucking went in and I went down this fucking rabbit hole. And I said, this is great. I want to do this on the show. So the World Video Game Hall of Fame apparently started doing classes from on June 4th, 2015. Okay?
Oh, that's fairly recent.
Fairly recent. That's why I wanted to go over this. So the National Museum of Play, they have an e-game revolution exhibit, and that's where the Hall of Fame items will be. And when I say Hall of Fame, I mean like not just the game, the cartridges, the games, the physical games are in this motherfucker. Like they're there. And it says that they're overseen by a group called The Strong, which is a dedicated group of individuals who have experience in the field. This is not a YouTube thing where people are just like, yo, this is so welcome to my channel, and this is what I feel is the Hall of Fame class. No, this is professionals.
Fuck that. Yo, fuck, I'm already mad at this.
Well, hold on.
Go ahead.
There's professionals who oversee the Hall of Fame procedure, so to speak, like curating the items at the museum and who, what kind of games get discussed for being a Hall of Fame nominee or whatever the case may be, but they don't get to decide solely them. They, as many as it is for them, they get like one vote or whatever the case may be, like one representative vote from their side. The rest of the videos that are voted upon to be Hall of Fame are decided amongst fans of video games, basically fans. The World Video Game Hall of Fame creator is John Paul C. Dyson, who was the Strong's Vice President of Exhibit Research and Development and the Director of the International Center for the History of Electronic Games. These are historians who are involved in this. But they still hold, and that's the website here, www.worldvideogamehalloffame.org. Notice it's a .org. And they still allow for players and video game enthusiasts to come in and vote and have their voices heard on who should be a Hall of Fame game. And they don't just throw a game here or a game there. It's about, like, for instance, this first class, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's 14 games here. Only 6 got in. So it's kind of like baseball where they give you like this giant list of names and you're like, all right, well, which ones do you think are Hall of Fame worthy? And then the vote comes in and then that determines. So what kind of criteria now, which is also important for a Hall of Fame? Right? It's not just, well, this game had great gameplay, or no, there's an actual criteria, and then you can fill in the blanks with the rest of your stuff. 4 basic criterias. First, icon status. Basically, if the game is widely recognized and remembered. Longevity is more than a passing fad and has enjoyed popularity over time. Geographical reach meets the above criteria, but across international boundaries. And of course, its influence. Has it exerted significant influence on the design and development of other games, on other forms of entertainment, or on popular culture and society in general?
And then how does it get voted in?
I believe the website that was provided is where people would go to look over the list of finalists that would be available to you, and then you cast your vote. Now, just like baseball, I'm noticing that when they give you a list of finalists and you get to choose who goes in, you know how sometimes you have those kind of on the cusp votes where they're like, a few more votes, they could have been in there, right? Those games that have a certain amount of votes, they get transferred to the next year. So you have another chance to vote for them the next year based on the class and see maybe if they'll get in that way. So that's kind of how that works.
I just want to know who's voting on. I'm looking at this, man, and it's like triggering me a little bit. It just don't make sense. It just don't make sense. I'm looking at the wiki for the Hall of Fame thing that you sent.
Okay.
Me.
And what doesn't make sense?
I went all the way back to the first class. I'm just confused by this. That's why I'm like, well, who the fuck is voting and who's putting these things on here? Like,
all right, hold on.
If you're gonna do your first ever video game Hall of Fame in the class of 2015, I'm sorry, but Minecraft and Angry Birds should not be on the original list. The fact that World of Warcraft got voted in for the first based on the criteria that you just mentioned, for World of Warcraft to have been in the first ever Hall of Fame induction, but Space Invaders did not make it in. Oregon Trail did not make it in.
You got to think about the generational gap here. This vote took place in 2015. That's only 6 years ago.
They shouldn't be on this list.
There are people who voted for this who probably didn't even fucking play Space Invaders.
They shouldn't be on. They shouldn't be voting on this list. Not the first one. There should have been there should have been some type of year restriction here. Well, I should not be looking at Angry Birds versus Space Invaders.
Let me read the list off of the first class. Right, not the ones who got in, but the list that you're talking about.
I can even argue that Super Mario should be bumped for Space Invaders.
Okay, well, hold on.
Space Invaders literally created video games, dude. Let's talk. Let's have some real conversation.
Okay,
here.
Well, hold on. Let me read the five. So the first class that people got a chance to vote for, right, from the class of 2015, was Doom, Pac-Man, Pong, Super Mario Brothers, Tetris. World of Warcraft, Angry Birds, FIFA International Soccer, there's Legend of Zelda, the original 86, Minecraft, the original, the Oregon Trail, Pokemon Red and Blue, The Sims, Sonic the Hedgehog 91, the original Sonic, and Space Invaders. Now you're saying you can make an argument.
Let me tell you something right now. What did we get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6 that got voted
titles. So Pong, Pac-Man, Tetris,
those should be
Oregon Trail, Space Invaders, and at this point now we're arguing very, very a lot more current. In that case, I will allow you to have anyone in that last spot in the range of like Doom, The Legend of Zelda. I'll give you an argument for Sonic and Pokemon. Everything else on that list should not even fucking be on that list.
Okay, but let me ask you this now. For instance, the two that you want to exchange up, you said Space Invaders
should be in. Okay, oh my! The fact that it's not is insane.
But what was the other one you said? You said
Oregon Trail.
Oregon Trail. Okay, right. So okay.
They use it in schools. It's like the only video game that every person in the world has fucking had their hands on.
Right.
You're telling me that it doesn't fit that criteria.
I'm not telling you that.
This shouldn't even been voted on. They should have just put those titles in and be like, "Yo, guys, this is how we're setting the tone."
I'm not suggesting that at all. I'm whatchamacallit. I'm how do you say? I'm kind of getting on whatever it is you're saying here because I'm trying to. I know of these games. I'm old enough to have obviously played every single one of these games. But as far as I'm looking at the criteria here. Right, so icon status. Well, I'm referring to Space Invaders. So icon status, yeah, obviously, right?
Right.
Everyone knows
it was. They thought it was a reason for a coin shortage.
Yeah. It was. We talked about that for high score. And
dude, do Space Invaders have to repeat that? This shit should be in there.
Space Invaders was available in Pizza Hut tables while you waited for food.
Space Invaders is the Sasha Banks of this shit right now. They should have just left.
Longevity. I mean, that goes without saying. People are playing Space Invaders right now.
To this day, I promise you, there are competitions still right now.
Geographical reach. We found out through high score that obviously Space Invaders.
It was an arcade in an arcade room in Japan.
Now
it's all over the world.
Here's where people may question. Influence. Has exerted significant influence on the design and development of other games or on other forms of entertainment or popular culture in society in general. Yes. Space Invaders was a popular game, but did it cross out of the video game into other things?
Yes. Where? What do you mean? What do you mean cross? Wait, that's not what that's saying.
Listen,
It's saying in video games.
No, it's not. Not influence. Has exerted significant influence on the design and development of other games, on other forms of entertainment or on popular culture and society in general. So you can get outside.
Hard to argue.
How so? Because you said you would take Super Mario out.
What did Tetris do?
What did Tetris do?
Yeah. Outside of video games.
Outside, not a goddamn thing. So if you want to take Tetris out, I'm with it. But Super Mario Brothers, who had more influence between Space Invaders and Super Mario Brothers?
I will. The one more current versus, because obviously we're talking about a gap difference here between the Pongs and the Space Invaders and the Oregon Trails.
Well, Space Invaders and Super Mario Brothers are only separated by about 6 years.
Mario is in the middle of this. Super Mario is dead center of all of this, where Pong and Space Invaders being like in the 70s, and then obviously like the World of Warcrafts and the Dooms being in like the 90s going to the 2000s, and Super Mario is dead center. Super Mario is by far, it could be it's one of the unarguable ones on this list.
Space Invaders?
No, Super Mario.
Oh, Super Mario is
it's one of those, you can't argue it. I would even argue that Super Mario should be number 1.
Yes, I can make that argument as well, yes.
Number 1 point. It don't matter what time frame we're fucking talking about. They could even call this the fucking Super Mario.
This game came out
video game Hall of Fame. No one will bat an eye to that.
This game came out in 1985. I have students coming to my class with Super Mario clothes today. They're dressing up.
People still dress up at Halloween as Super Mario.
I was Super Mario for Halloween. I got a photo.
Dude, across the board, Super Mario hits all of those out of 10, 15. Like, so it's a staple.
You would take.
Our mom plays Super Mario.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of weird.
That's the only video game she's ever played. I watched her play Super Mario.
Of the 6 that won the vote, Doom, Pac-Man, Pong, Super Mario, Tetris, World of Warcraft, you're probably taking World of Warcraft off for Space Invaders.
1,000%.
Okay, but so Tetris is another one where you're like, meh?
No, Tetris is on there.
So which one do you take? Just World of Warcraft was your problem?
World of Warcraft, and I could argue Doom. Doom
was kind of game changing.
Not reach those numbers. I know people love Doom, and I'm not going to hate on Doom, and I know Doom had a big impact in the video game industry, but I don't think it's to any level of a Space Invaders or Oregon Trail.
See, though, I can make it. Based on what we learned from high score when we were listening to the developers, Doom did have. Let me go back up to the criteria for a second, because that you said has exerted significant influence on the design and development of other games. That was your point for the other one, and I think that fits for Doom. Doom's 3D system changed a lot of shit.
You just said with The Legend of Zelda. Let's put Doom against The Legend of Zelda 1v1.
And what Zelda's? This is the 86 version, by the way, of Zelda, the gold cartridge.
Yes, yes. To this, yes, all of that. People still speedrun that game today. They're still breaking world records on that game today. But that's influence.
The way that Zelda was designed is not the same. Zelda's design in 86 didn't change the game the way that Doom's did in 93. As a matter of fact, Doom's version. Doom being released changed what Zelda had.
The game, it was just a good game.
No,
it was a good game that was gory. Yes,
Doom's 3D design is what changed it.
It did the same thing that Mortal Kombat did for fighting games, but less impact for me.
Oh, I actually believe that the system, the game engine, is what changed everything. That 3D model of just moving around the way that you were able to move around the map and arm yourself with weapons and stuff. That changed a lot.
But there's I'll give you that. Even though I don't fully agree, I'll give you that. I will give you that. It doesn't even scratch the surface on any of the other categories when it comes to The Legend of Zelda.
No,
it doesn't have longevity, dude. It's been like how many years, and they just made a new Doom game?
No, yeah, and then Zelda
is Super Mario as well. Like, it's an iconic character. It's a game that's been going on for decades. It's a game that is beloved. People, I'm telling you, I would say Doom had more of a cult following, whereas Legend of Zelda had more of a
Zelda was definitely pop
mainstream.
culture. He was in the cartoon.
Absolutely.
He had far more reach than just the video game.
He was right there with Super Mario. Obviously, Mario had a larger.
He was in the original the original roster for Smash Brothers.
He is right there. I could even argue that Sonic should be in there over Doom. Doom should not be in this first class. Not against what it's going against. And the fact that there's an Angry Birds on this.
Yeah, okay, Angry Birds, Minecraft,
this stuff, Minecraft, FIFA. These are all visual grabs.
Right.
They're trying to get. To me, those are trying to get people's attention. I feel like World of Warcraft was that way as well. But the problem is that there are a ridiculously large amount of people who play World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And it's one of, if not the most current on the list. No, Minecraft is. But
to be fair,
that's what I'm voting on.
Maybe I'm wrong, but World of Warcraft was voted in, right? It's one of the 6 that made it in the first class. But if I'm looking at the criteria, it only meets 2. I'll give it geographical reach.
1,000%.
I'll give it influence for the short amount of time. Can't give it longevity because it didn't last for long.
They play today.
Well,
their current updates and today they have an expansion coming out literally like
okay, but just because they've kept it moving doesn't mean the popularity has indulged.
They've been over. They're the only MMO to stay over multi-million subscriptions for decades. That's incorrect. They are.
What about icon status?
They have longevity. They literally just made a movie. They have books. They have all kinds of shit.
What about icon status?
Huh?
What about icon status?
Absolutely.
So you don't want them voted in, but you're making an argument as to how great they are.
What's the example? What's the example? You know how when someone refers to something by a generic name, like for instance, people say I'm going to Home Depot when they're really going to Lowe's, but what they mean is they're going to the
hardware store. So
the hardware store is what they mean to say. Like they'll go to Ace, but like, yo, I'm going to Home Depot. It's that. You know what I mean? Like I'm playing an MMO. Like people who don't know MMOs will just refer to the genre by using World of Warcraft's name is what I'm trying to say. The influence of World of Warcraft.
Didn't Skyrim start to reach that status a little bit for a while?
Skyrim, as far as that genre of game, I mean a little bit.
It was getting there a little bit.
A little bit. I don't like that genre game too much though.